What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, and you're watching another video in the Prepping Basics series that I'm doing. Today I'm going to talk about bug out bags and what they are, and why you need to have one, and why it's considered, in my opinion, a basic element of prepping and one of the foundational elements of prepping, and things that you should have if you're new to prepping, or you're thinking about getting into prepping and being more prepared. So basically, a bug out bag is just a general term for like a survival bag or survival backpack. It could be configured in any way. It could be a standard backpack like this, with like two straps. You could have a sling bag which slings over your chest. There's different ways that you can have it, configured. And then a bug out bag is just a general term for a survival bag, and it's basically designed to help you, survive a particular situation or possible situations that you may encounter. And you should leave up to your imagination, what type of scenarios you should prepare for. I can list a few, but basically there's man-made disasters and non-man-made or natural disasters. Those are like the two categories. Man-made disasters could be problems with the electrical grid, which we saw recently in Manhattan. A couple of weeks ago in July, there was a heat wave in New York City, and it caused the power to go down to a significant portion of Manhattan. There was some electrical issues with the generators, and so there's your power grid problems. There could be terrorist attack, economic downturn. That's not really something you'd really have a bug out bag for, unless it was like a stock market crash and like a very fast, downward spiral. But yeah, I would say, power grid issues, terrorist attacks, or some type of, it may not necessarily be a foreign terrorist, but it could be like domestic terrorism, like Antifa, one of those extremist groups in this country that are gonna jeopardize public safety or cause some type of an incident. Rioting, civil unrest, civil disturbances. There could be issues at industrial facilities, can often cause a need for an evacuation of a particular area, whether it's a nuclear plant or could be some type of chemical facility that releases, toxic substances into the air. And at that point, you're going to need to evacuate your location if you're nearby, and that's where a bug out bag will help you get away and survive. And then if we go into natural disasters, it depends on your area. It could be hurricanes, blizzards, really bad thunderstorms, tornadoes, flooding. It could be anything. So a bug out bag will help you survive all of these, potential hazards. And whatever the scenario is, you should come up with that, in your own head, because it really depends on what part of the country you live in. Depends on whether you live in a city or whether you live in the suburbs or whether you live in a rural area. The threats that you're going to face are different depending on where you live, whether it's a natural or man-made disaster. So you need to sit down and think about what the threats are and what are the most likely scenarios that could happen. And then once you figure that out, then you can customize your bug out bag to address all of those potential threats. And obviously a bug out bag is not a solution. You need to have plans, you need to have communications plans, you need to have, routes, travel routes. Having just because you have a bug out bag doesn't mean that you're prepared to survive a possible situation. It's just a piece of gear, so you still need to have plans. You need to have some prior planning in order to survive some type of major disaster. So this way you roughly know where you're going to go, what you're going to do. Because if you just have a bug out bag and you have no, plan or no prior research, then you're going to be much worse off than if you did a little bit of research and a little bit of planning ahead of time to make sure that your bug out bag, is able to cover all of your needs and then address all of the possible scenarios and threats that you may face. And so that's why people have bug out bags, is to basically prepare for disasters, whether they're man-made or natural. And we don't need to really go that far back in history to see what type of disasters, just in the last 20 years, how many different disasters there have been that affected a large amount of people in this country. There's Hurricane Katrina, there was 9/11, Hurricane Sandy, what was that, Irma, tropical storm, or Hurricane Irma, which devastated Florida and Puerto Rico. There was various blackouts, over the last 15 years that happened because of, issues with the mechanical issues with the generators or transmission lines, operated by power companies. So there's always a potential for some type of disaster to strike, and then there could be regional disasters, there could be nationwide, national disasters, which could be like a World War III would be like in my opinion, like a national emergency where it would affect the whole country, or some type of economic downturn. A regional disaster might be like a big hurricane or blizzard, or some type of weather event, and maybe a power grid issue that affects a large area, which happened in 2003, I think, or 2004. There was over here in New York, we lost power in, it was some issue in Canada and Quebec that caused the power to go down for like the whole Northeast. Basically, there was something wrong with one of the transmission lines, and it knocked out the power to the whole Northeast. Another thing would be like a nuclear power plant issue would be a regional disaster, because a nuclear power plant, if it gives off radioactive emissions, or I don't know how you'd say it, but radiation is leaked from a nuclear power plant, or there's some type of issue, that would also be a regional disaster. And then you have localized disasters, which could be a terrorist attack, some type of crime situation like escaped prisoners, or localized rioting or looting, home invasions, burglary sprees, things like that. That would be considered localized. Maybe there was a really bad thunderstorm that knocked out power and blocked roads in your area. So you need to account for the different types of disasters: local, regional, national, and then obviously global, which would be like a war or a recession or something, climate change or something like that. But the different types of bug out bags that people typically configure is you have your get home bag, your inch bag, and then you have your bug out bag. Those are like the three terminologies that you'll see on the internet, or amongst preppers. The get home bag is just basically meant to be a backpack that's designed to get you home from somewhere. So that could be if you're traveling, or if you're at work, you keep that bag with you, so this way you can get home safely from your location wherever you are. And typically a get home bag is a light and smaller pack, because it's not really designed to have a lot of stuff in it for like a long-term survival or sustaining yourself long-term. It's really meant to have just the basics and the essentials in it, and it's really supposed to be lightweight so you can move quickly and get home from wherever you are, or at least get to a safer location. Then you have your inch bag. An inch bag is like a I'm never coming home bag. That's what it stands for, I'm never coming home. And that's basically like exactly what it means. It's a backpack that's has a lot of stuff in it, and it's made to help you survive if you have to permanently evacuate your home for whatever reason, due to one of those disasters I mentioned. So typically an inch bag will be a lot bigger and have a lot more stuff in it, because if you have to leave your house on foot, or if you have to leave in your vehicle, and you don't know where you're going to be or how long you're going to be gone, you're going to need a lot more stuff with you, especially for food and different tools, medical supplies, things like that. You're going to need a lot more gear than a get home bag, especially if you want to have, if you want to, be fairly comfortable. So that's basically the different types of bug out bags. And then, obviously a bug out bag is supposed to be made for you. You design it and configure it the way that you want it to be, and whatever works best for you. There's no right or wrong way to make a bug out bag. It's really, whatever you need personally, is what your bug out bag is going to have in it. So my bug out bag is going to be different than someone else's, because I have certain things in there that I need, based on where I live, where I go to work, where I travel to, my personal, medical requirements, which I don't really have anything unusual, but some people, if you're diabetic, you may have to carry insulin. If you have different, ailments, you have to carry some medicine with you, whatever. So your bug out bag is designed to fit you. The first and most important thing is that it has to be comfortable and it has to fit your body properly. A lot of people, they buy backpacks online, and they don't actually try them on, and then when you need to use it, it's not comfortable. It's never been tested. You've never actually gone into the woods with it, or whatever area that you live in, you never actually tested it out. And the most important thing is that it has to be comfortable. If it's not comfortable and it doesn't fit you well, then it's going to cause problems, especially if you have to cover a large amount of terrain. If you have to walk like 30 miles or something like that, or you have to walk like 10 to 20 miles a day, if your backpack's not fitting you well, then you're going to have problems. Even if you're in really good shape, and you're healthy, a poorly fitting backpack can cause a lot of problems. So you need to make sure that you try different backpacks out and find one that fits you and has all the things that you need particularly for yourself, and there's no, like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do it. You could have a regular backpack like I have, or you could have a sling bag, you can have a duffel bag, whatever suits you, whatever you find to work best for you. However, a backpack is usually the best method because, you can wear it, and it doesn't wear you out like a sling pack or something like that. It's a lot more comfortable, and you can wear it longer distances. So my recommendation is to get yourself a 2-strap, regular backpack, and and then figure out what you need. Determine what the threats are, assess the threats and figure out, what you're going to need to put in your backpack and what type of disasters you would face, what your terrain is going to look like, the terrain that you're, going to be leaving from. If let's say you have a get-home bag, what terrain are you going to be moving through if you're going to have to walk through like a mountainous area to get home. Let's say you're preparing a get-home bag. If you have to walk through like a mountainous area, or you have to cross a body of water, if it's more of an urban area, you should have all these things planned out. But that's basically what bug out bags are and why you want to have one. It's definitely one of the basic elements of prepping, and one of the first things that you should get, if you're going to try to get into prepping, you should definitely get yourself a bug out bag and have it set up. You don't really need to put a lot of stuff in there. You definitely want to have water, at least a liter of water. You don't need to have too much water, because water you can find in the environment, and you can purify it, you can boil it. You can use, chlorine dioxide pills, or you can use iodine tablets, or iodine drops. You can do different things to purify water. But at least have a liter of water with you. Have some energy bars or some type of calorie sources. And then you're going to want to have medical gear. You're going to want to have something for personal protection. You're going to want to have some basic tools with you. Depending on the terrain you're going to be expecting to bug out into, or cross, if it's urban or rural or deserts, mountains. You may need specific tools. If you live in, let's say, an area close to the mountains, like if you live on the west somewhere, you may want to carry some climbing gear like crampons and an ice axe. You never know if it's in the winter, or if you're in an urban area, you may want to carry some bolt cutters, or pry bar. If you're crossing a wooded area, you may want to have folding saw and a hatchet or something like that. You're going to want to have maps and some type of navigational tools like a compass. You're going to want to have, like I said, personal defense items and protective equipment. That could be a knife, a pistol, pepper spray, whatever is legal in the area that you expect to use the bag in. Those things to consider. And what else? Did I forget anything? Those are the basic categories. I'm not going to get too detailed into what you should put into the bag. This is just an introductory video. I'll do a quick show you guys a new bag that I've been working on. Just to give you an example, on the outside of my bag here, I have this is a medical kit. I have a Israeli bandage, tourniquet, and some scissors here, some shears. This is like for a bleeding situation. I have some fire starting gear on the outside. I have a pry bar, if I need to pry something. If I need to escape an area and I'm trapped somewhere and I have to pry to escape or break glass or something. I have a stainless steel canteen. I have a compass right here on the outside so I can access quickly. Navigation is going to be critical. And then inside of the bag I have some snacks, I have maps, and I have a lot of other things I'm not going to really get into right now. But I just wanted to introduce, what a bug out bag is, why you want to have it, and let you guys figure out the rest. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.